Hey, I'm Mr. X. I'm the guy behind the guy, giving you all the information you want to know, all the information you need to know about the VA claims process. Today we're talking about the top 5 reasons your VA claim gets denied. So for any VA claim of compensation, has to meet a minimum of at least 3 criteria. And these are the 3 no-nos. Okay, so the 3 criteria are: you have to have a current disability or symptoms. There has to be an in-service event, injury, or illness, or you served in an area like Southwest Asia, which is presumptive for the condition. And there has to be a nexus or a link between your current disability and the event in service. So if you look at the list there, this is the 3 no-nos. The 3 no's of service connection. So if you get denied for one of these 3 reasons. There's either no current disability or symptoms, there's either no in-service event, or there's no nexus or link between your current disability and your in-service event, or you didn't serve in a presumptive area. Okay, so in the next few slides, if your claim was denied, it was denied for one of these 3 reasons. And in the next few slides, I'm going to identify what criteria was not met. Either number 1, there is no diagnosis. Number 2, there is no in-service event. Or number 3, there is no nexus. Okay? So, number 1, why your claim gets denied is there's a clear lack of diagnosis, meaning that if you went to a VA exam, the examiner did not render a diagnosis for the claim condition. That means there's no diagnosis in the exam, or the VA treatment records in your file do not show a diagnosis of the claim condition, or the evidence that you submitted with your claim, like private treatment records, did not show a clear diagnosis. Either way, in the end, there is no diagnosis. You may have pain of a joint, but that pain may not result in a diagnosis of right knee strain or a lumbosacral strain or something of that nature. So in the end, you have to have a clear diagnosis of the condition. Okay, so if there's no diagnosis, it didn't meet criteria number 1, or a current diagnosis or symptoms. Okay, reason number 2 your claim is denied is there's no path to service connection. Now we're going to talk about areas number 2, which is there is no in-service event, and number 3, there is no nexus. Now when I say a path to service connection, that means there's not going to be a link, or there's no implied link if the condition is a presumptive condition between your current diagnosis and service. So for example, in these instances where you wouldn't meet this criteria, let's say you do have a clearer diagnosis of the right knee pain and you claim the right knee. Well, if you were treated in service for a right knee condition, there's no injuries or complaints of right knee or right knee disability in service, then there's going to be generally no possible way that it's going to be service connected, unless, of course, you provide a nexus or statement saying something to the effect that your current right knee pain is the result of long marches or, hundreds of parachute jumps or something that is relatable to what happened in service. Okay, so if the path, or depending on what condition you're claiming, let's say we'll stick with the right knee. Okay, let's say you claim a right knee condition. If there is no treatment in service for your right knee pain, then you're going to need to provide a nexus between the 2 events. Okay, my right knee pain is due to service, due to the parachute jumps, and you're going to want to submit evidence that highlights that veterans with multiple parachute jumps or long ruck marches or something of that nature is related to, degenerative changes in the right knee. And if it's not absolutely clear, then you're going to have to provide it, or else it's going to get denied. All right, number 3 on the list here is missing or incomplete medical evidence. Okay, now this is going to fall under a number 1 reason, or number 1 no-no, which is there's no current disability or symptoms. Now, when talking about missing or incomplete medical evidence, depending on the condition that you're applying for, there are VA regulations that have to be met. For example, if you file a claim for obstructive sleep apnea. Okay? And if you have symptoms, if you may have a CPAP machine, okay? But if a sleep study has not been completed and that evidence is not in your file, then you're 100% going to be denied for sleep apnea. Because one of the criteria for sleep apnea is there has to be a confirmed diagnosis of sleep apnea after a sleep study. You have to have a sleep study in your file. Another example is hypertension. Okay? Just having high blood pressure or one single diagnosis of hypertension does not meet the diagnostic criteria under the VA rating schedule. To be granted service connection for hypertension, there has to be multiple events, generally 3 instances within a short period of time, that show elevated blood pressure readings. And if there's not the treatment records in your file that show that either at the VA or VA facility, or if you don't submit the treatment records that show that diagnostic criteria, then the likelihood that you're going to get denied for hypertension is going to go way up. All right, number 4 on the list here. There's a lack of continuity of symptoms for the claim condition. Now, the no-no that this is the no-no number 1 and number 3. So number 1, there's no current disability or symptoms. And number 3, there's no nexus between your in-service event and your current disability. Now, this is best explained under an example. So let's say you file a claim for right knee strain, and you were seen in service for a right knee condition. Now, let's say you served from 1985 to 1995. Okay, you served 10 years, and you were seen twice in service for a right knee pain or right knee condition. And then, all these years later, in 2025, you submit a claim for right knee pain. Now, if there's no treatment records in your file between 1995 and 2025, then it's going to be fairly difficult for the examiner to come back with a positive direct opinion saying that, hey, this event in service is now manifested by your current diagnosis of right knee strain. Okay, because there's a good, 25, 30 years that have gone by. There's a lot of things that could have happened which could have caused that right knee condition. Now, for example, let's say, once again, another example, you served 85 to 95. Got to have a service, you're seen twice in service for your right knee condition. Okay. Now, let's say you submit treatment records, or there is a record of being treated for a right knee condition at a VA facility in your file after you leave service. So once again, you leave service in 1995. Let's say you were seen in 1998, in 2000, in 2003, in 2005 and 10, in 2015 and 18, and in 2020, you have a right knee replacement. And here, all these years later, well, in 2025, you submit a claim for a right knee replacement. Well, not to say that the examiner is going to come back with a positive opinion to say that, hey, this condition that happened in service is now presently shown as a right knee replacement. But for that 3-year period, if all the evidence showed that you were continually treated for that condition every couple of years between the time you left service and present day, then the likelihood that that examiner is going to come back and give you a positive opinion is going to skyrocket. Okay? So, the 4 reason why your VA claim gets denied is there's a lack of continuity. Think of that as a lack of evidence in between when you left service and present day of your condition. Okay? Number 4 reason you're getting denied. All right, everyone, let's wrap this up here. Number 5 on the list of no-nos. Well, number 5 reason that your claim gets denied is other. Now, these are the things, some of these may be in your control, some may not be. Okay, so for example, let's say you have an exam scheduled, and for whatever reason you missed that exam, that's an easy denial right there. Okay, because there may be no diagnosis, there may be no symptoms, there may be nothing that the examiner can then render an opinion on. Or they may just kick it back to the VA, said that your no-showed at the exam, and a no-show is a quick and easy denial. Another example of an other type scenario is, let's say there was a mistake in the application or a mistake in the documents or evidence that you submitted. Let's say it didn't upload correctly, okay, or it was unclear. Another thing that it could be, and these are, I won't say out of the norm, but it could be another. Let's say you go to an exam and you get that examiner. Okay, we all know that they aren't all created equal. Some examiners are better than others, plain and simple. Let's say you go to that one and you get that one examiner. It's not going to work out well, okay? On the other side of that too, not every VA rater, not all of them are great either. So you could have bad versions of them, good versions of them, and that can make all the difference in the world with understanding the claim, understanding what you submitted in the VA rules and regulations in granting service connection for whatever condition you applied for. Okay, some of those things are out of your control. Now, some of them aren't. Okay, so in my opinion, it's best to take some of those options out of their hands. Meaning, if you submit clear and concise evidence that shows a diagnosis of the condition that you're applying for, that there's a continuity of treatment from the time you left service until present day, then the likelihood that you get a bum examiner or that the rater can't, get through it and grant service connection or can't evaluate the evidence correctly, all that goes down. Okay? Now I get it. Some of these things, it's kind of a pain to submit all that evidence and go to all these examiners and try to remember when you were seen in service or when you were treated after service for your right knee condition. Now I say knee because of the example we used through the whole process, but in the end, the clear goal is to get service connected for your right knee condition or sleep apnea or whatever it is that you're applying for. Okay? Now, the best thing you can do is take all that guesswork or all those other type scenarios out of the VA's hands. Submit something that shows a current diagnosis, tell the VA how it relates to service. I was seen in service for right knee condition around this time. It's in my service treatment records. Okay? Show that continuity of treatment. Now, if you were seen outside of a VA facility, then submit those records. Hey, all these things go to help you, and that way you don't get denied. Okay? Top 5 reasons your claim gets denied. All of these are preventable. Okay? So going back to that first slide, it's either number 1, number 2, or number 3. Okay? There's either no diagnosis, okay, no symptoms, nothing in service, or there's no nexus. Okay, those are your 3 things. In the end, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me what you thought, what you would like us to address in the future. I'm Mr. X. We'll see you next time.